So, if we look into India, most of the pin codes in tier 1 cities has more number of people than Zurich. Chandni Chowk itself outnumber the number of people than what belongs to Amsterdam. And within this large city, every neighborhood acts like a city within. They are differentiated by their affluence, by the demographic profile, the life stage, life value, and kind of category and brand choices that they have. So, when client were planning to launch quick commerce service, they wanted to decipher this mosaic of Indian cities. They wanted to understand 3 broad questions. 1, what do I open my dark store? 2, what product do I keep on those dark stores? And 3, how do I make my customers stick to my platform? And that's where we suggested a solution which triangulates data from multiple sources. We are going to talk next onwards and give them a solution which serves their business purpose. Now, they had 3 asks also. 1, be fast. You have totally got 2 weeks, and that's non-negotiable because the launch was due in 4 to 5 weeks times, and before that they need to get the supply chain done, get the warehousing done and everything. They also wanted to get this understanding at a very, very granular level. So, it is not only that you let us know that people are buying certain groceries, but it has to go like people are buying Coca-Cola or people are buying certain dry fruits, right. And then also it has to happen a cost, like it cannot really go very, very high. And that is where we kind of thought beyond the conventional research and proposed them our Micromarket offer, which subsequently helped them to decipher the different micromarkets within Indian city in terms of their affluence, in terms of their demographics profile, life value, category choices, and how they shop online. So, what we did? We used data across the 3 pillars, right. So, first we looked into the secondary data. Here of course, we went to government sources such as census, pin code directory, the latest electoral roll. Of course, we also enriched this data with per square feet rate, number of presence of malls, QSRs and so on. And then we leveraged the data from Kantar primary syndicated survey, products such as iCube and TGI, where in the last 2 years we have more than 3.5 lakh responded. From where you understand their affluences, we understand their demographics profile, life value and multiple such things. And with all of those, then we bring in the data which gets captured through a passive app of around 4 lakh plus users. It gives us the understanding of what people are really buying online, by category, by SKU and so on. And we've all of this data, and there was around 2 billion data points from these 3 sources together to give client whatever they are looking for. But of course, the time was a very critical factor here, because once we cross the deadline of 15 days, it does not make any sense from the client. So, first and foremost thing was to create catchments that make sense, of course, from a city perspective, from a demographic perspective, also from an activation perspective, because it does not make sense to make a catchment which is great, but is not logistically feasible, because they have also started selecting dark stores in certain region, right. They want to prioritize that. So, what we did? We started with certain extra interviews on those cities, and then overlaid that with iCube and TGI data, and then we go to client that these are the things, or these are the micro markets we feel we should focus in a particular city. And they use their internal data to tell, okay, these are the micro markets that make sense for me, edit this and all of that, and all of this was done in 2 days time, right. And once we had those micro markets, we overlaid that across all the data sources that we have collected. We had around 8 data sources, that we have talked about, all the data sources, and then triangulated everything together and created a synthetic data that helps client to answer the questions that matter to them. That within every micro market, who are my people? What do they love to buy? What is their demographic profile? Right. So, one of the very interesting output that we saw, and this is one of the catchments from Ahmedabad, this was a catchment which was very high when it comes to nest builders and Gen Zs. Around 70% of their online grocery order was coming from quick commerce. So, they are completely entrenched quick commerce users, and they were of course affluent. And if you really look into these people, were not really buying any staples or anything. They were buying Coca-Cola, they were buying a lot of basically beverages, and with that not only Coke, there was a lot of ginger ale, there was a lot of Red Bull which was being purchased. There was a lot of dry fruits, and all of these also was being purchased. And we not only provided that, we told that especially from Friday evening onwards, this order goes up. So, you might want to plan so that you can deliver product right to your customer. Right. Now, how did it help client? Now, this client was fifth entrant into the already crowded quick commerce market. They really did not care about increasing the size of the pie or getting into habit building. They wanted from the existing pie to cut a share from themselves as their launch plan. Now, what it made sense for them, they identified such catchments across different markets and set their dark stores there. Second, it also gives them an understanding that what kind of product do I store in my warehouses, and at the same time, what kind of product do I store in my dark stores, because I have only 3,000 square feet dark store. I can maximum have 10,000 to 15,000 product, and that subsequently helped them to optimize their plan. Not only that, the demographics profile then also got layered with their internal understanding. For example, if it is Gen Z, they really care about speed. So, if you say 7 minutes, we better deliver it in 7 minutes. If it is a nest builders or new millennials kind of TG, then it is important to maintain the quality, and with their learning what they were finally able to do. These are the couple of broad points that they of course optimize those polygon for launch, identify the polygon that matters. They understand based on the cluster what kind of stocks do I keep, what is the never out of stock products that has to be there in my dark stores, and based on the demographics profile, they build a construct to also increase the stickiness of their customers. So, not only drive trial, but also drive customer retention. Now, this was Ahmedabad was the first market where this study got tested. Before that, they have launched in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, of course. But despite of cities such as Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, which is more entrenched into quick commerce, Ahmedabad was the first market where they reached fastest 5,000 order. Right? That's the power that this product bring to the client, and then they subsequently of course scaled it up for the rest of the market to kind of identify area where do I start my dark stores, and then subsequently scale it up from there. Yeah, that's all from.
Thank you. We'll move on to the questions.
Yes.
The first question is, how did you get e-commerce purchase data across cities in India in such a short time? Was that a part of your syndicated offering?
So, we do have an offer which is called eMarket Pulse, where we partner with multiple third party data sources, and we do have the data pool there. So, yeah, we procure data from there and then build it as a syndicated product.
Do you have a robust base by each pin code in your syndicated data source that were used to look at the purchase behavior in the initial
so, it not every pin code, no, but we do have coverage of around 70-75% pin code, and from one or other sources we are covering the pin code. So, that is why the synthetic data comes into the play, right. We create digital twins, we create imputation to create data from that, but of course, we are covering around 70-75% of the pin code, and at least the pin code that matters.
What micro market nuances surprise you the most?
I think how a city is diverse within itself, right, and that really surprised me about micro market. There are pockets in a particular city where of course, demographics and geographic parameter is different, but the category choices, the brand choices is very, very different. There are markets where I have seen that there is a higher incidence, for example, ginger ale, right. The brand might not even consider a lot of beverage brands that ginger ale is a competition, but there are pin codes where ginger ale is getting really consumed high. So, it gives opportunity for the brands to understand even at a very micro level that where I am doing great, where I really need to improve.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.